Welcome to Overcast, Save Points exclusive podcast based around anything and everything nerd culture. Once again, this is SP Crash, and I'm here with
Yume Sora.
And we're gonna go ahead and get into this one. It's gonna be a pretty light subject today overall. The thing that just happened this past weekend was Youmacon 2016.
Well,
this is a convention that happens in the center of downtown Detroit, and it's been here since, 2009?
I'm pretty sure it was either 10 or 11 is one of them.
Okay, so it was either 2009 or 2010, sometime around roughly 6 years ago. Before, it was at the Hyatt.
Yes.
And that was in what city?
That was in Dearborn.
Dearborn. But they moved it for a bigger area to have more people show up because it started becoming a much bigger convention than I guess originally assumed. But yeah, this is oh man, I can't remember how many I've been to, but I've been to, I'll say out of the 6 years that it's been in downtown Detroit, I've probably been to about 4 of them. About 4.
I have been to every one since 2009.
Yeah. So you've at least known it to be at the previous location.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, just my usual opinions about Youmacon. It's always a fun thing to go to. But there's something that I really want to bring up about cons, and that's something that a lot of people don't really discuss. They feel it, but they don't actually talk about it, and that is what I call con overload.
Con overload. I like where this is going.
Basically what that is once you've gone to a con so many times and you've actually absorbed about every amount of fun that you can naturally have at that particular con, you kind of start looking at all of the negatives. And so many people I know do this. I even do this to a degree. But
look at all the negatives, or look at,
like, you don't look at
or pass over the negatives.
No, you pay attention to the negatives more so than anything. Like, people say, "Oh, it's not that fun. This isn't that great." Blah 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 blah. But they don't really pay attention that it was kind of the same the year before, or the year before
but
that.
The only reason it's like that, see, and this is why it sucks at the same time. Like I said, I've been going to Youmacon since 2009.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see its ups and downs, since then. And it's like, the reason people say that is because, in my opinion, those are the ones that are usually like the people that just go for the major things that people know Youmacon for, which would be like the rave or the countless parties that are going on throughout the con, and so on and so forth. They aren't the people that actually like sit down and either cosplay or actually go to a panel, or at least more than one panel, or whatever else the con has to offer. Because this con actually did do a lot.
Yeah, it did.
That I noticed over previous cons that I was upset that they didn't do in previous cons, that they actually did do this con.
True.
Like, I was actually interested in the panel that they had this year. Not, even though I didn't really get to go to the ones that I wanted to go to, but it's the fact that I actually did want to go, versus other years where I was like, whatever, I'll pass over that. Just bring me the rave,
Right.
So that's one thing that I didn't like about it. I mean, that I didn't like back then, that I like now, that they've improved on. And it really seems like they've been listening to the people as far as what they should have or what they should focus on.
I can understand that. My thing is only because, of course, when you have friends that go there all the time, or you've been there a lot, you just hear so much negative, and it's always bad, because if you're a constant con goer and you're having this feeling and you have all this negative stuff to say, when you have to portray it to someone who hasn't been, most of the time you end up portraying your negative feeling based off of how long you've been going, and not really trying to branch out and do anything new. Like you said, those are the people who only go there basically to say, hey, let's have a party, rather than, hey, let's actually enjoy the con stuff.
Or go and just say, yeah, let me just go so I can meet up with these people that I never really meet up with outside of the con.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what a lot of people usually do. They just use it as a for they meet up, excuse.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't look at it like that. Like, you can look at it like that, and I guess that comes with how many times you've been going to cons, but at the same time, if it's to the point where that you went to a con so many times where that you feel like you're repeating certain things over and over and you're tired of it, then you really shouldn't really have an opinion towards the con, because it's like you're not saying how you feel about the con. You're saying, oh, well, I do these same things every time I come. That's how I feel about it. But it's like, that's not really a good review, You're being biased.
Yeah, you're very biased. And that's one of the things that I want to discuss, and that's why I call it like a con overload, is because you go there and you don't really, you do everything that you feel like you need to do, and then you have nothing left, and you're just kind of burnt out by the end, because it's like, what else do you do? I mean, the only thing that I've realized is I've actually had that feeling for a while. However, as far as cons go, I've never really particularly bashed Youmacon. I've always thought, well, maybe I won't go this year. But, of course, I've been about almost every year. One of the major things that I did differently this year, just to try to give it a different feel, is I actually, and this is my very first time doing it in my life, I actually cosplayed as a character, which was actually pretty awesome. And a lot of people, may not want to do that because they think, oh, that's this way, or blah, nerds do that, but I don't know.
It brings more life into the con. Like, it's the more that you decide to dabble in things that are outside of what you usually do, the more the con comes to life for you. That's why I cosplay, because it's like, it's another door that you open that helps you enjoy the con after you then exhaust the other things that you've already done. Like, when I first went to the con back in 2009, I was amazed by the game room. I'm like, yo, this is the truth. I love this. I can just walk in here, and this is like when I really started heavily getting into games, you know what I'm saying? So it's like when you walk into this huge, oversized room of pretty much any retro game you can think of, and then present game you can think of, that is an amazing feeling. But after 3 years of doing that, you're like, okay, I know what games are going to be here. I know how this game room is going to look. So it's less appealing. So now you have to find something else to fill that void. I mean, the only thing else that would bring you to the game room is whatever new games they decide to bring in there. But I mean, if it's the same games, then it's like, okay, I understand the game room now. Let me find something else to be interested in this con. Because there's plenty of other things that you can go for.
And I can agree with that part too. But since you brought up the game room, that's one of the other things that I wanted to bring up about this one. I mean, we were going over con overloads, but there were a couple aspects about this con that I felt that went very good and very bad. Unfortunately, we're going to start with a bad.
Okay.
We're going to start with a bad. The game room was terrible this year to me. And I'm going to let you know why. In previous years, or at least the last 3 years, they've, in my opinion, continuously found ways to up their game as far as the game room. Haha, puns. But the way they did it this year, it looked like it would be a lot more efficient for people to actually get in and play and have fun. But the main problem I noticed is you barely got to play. Like, it was either so many people in there at one time and not enough stations for it, or there just wasn't enough of the stations that people wanted to play. Like, they did have a lot of retro games there, which is actually amazing, but I feel like a lot of the retro games that they had there, nobody touched. Like, it was just, like, legit sitting there wasting space. I doubt that.
I mean, I disagree, because I feel like it's one of those day one versus day 2 or 3. Day one, they were being touched. You know, everybody was playing a specific game over there, it was actually pretty crowded. Everybody was playing the beat 'em ups and everything else that they could pretty touch over there. It's just by like day 2 or 3, it's like, okay, I've played. You can only get so much out of a retro game, you know?
Well, yes, but see, here's my issue with that is, even though you have the retro games, and this is why I said I feel like some of them may have been a waste of space to be sitting there, or at least for the whole con, at least, is that the first day, let's say the free day, which was Thursday, we went, and the game room was very much alive. People were there, and a lot of stations were taken up, a lot of lines to play stuff, and people played games. But when I went Friday, I noticed that out of every filled station, those are the only ones where people weren't sitting down.
What time Friday?
Multiple times. I can't really give you a specific
like,
time because it was in the morning and afternoon.
1, it's Youmacon. 2, it's Friday. 3, it would be a Saturday.
Trust me, I'm getting to the Saturday. I'm getting to every day.
I'm just saying, no, I'm saying like it's Friday for the simple fact that everybody, by the time you get to Friday, people are either out cosplaying all day, or there's panels, or there's everybody's trying to get ready for whatever party is getting ready to come up. And that, to me, is what Yoma was for a lot of people. I felt like a lot of people came to this Yoma to party. I know it's like, okay, well, you're going to do that regardless, because, I mean, it's Youmacon. But I just feel like that the desire for the party was more than, hey, let's check out the game room, let's spend time in the game room for a little bit, let's spend time here for a little bit. It was more like, yo, I came here to get blitz, and I'm going to do it all freaking weekend.
No, see, here's my
like
thing.
The people that you did have in the game room, were either your casual gamers that were trying to get into something new, or your gamers that live, eat, breathe crap, League or Overwatch or Smash or Street Fighter or Tekken or something of that sort. So I can see why it was like that.
But here's where I was getting at initially. While that's all true, it comes to a point where some of those systems that were there were legit just not being touched, but everything else was overcrowded. It's not
Smash.
like there's no one here. It's just there's no other thing open but, let's say, these 7 setups sitting here.
Smash Bros.
It's the only thing, and nobody wants to play those. And it's not saying that, people don't want to play retro games. Don't get me wrong on that, because a lot of people do play retro games. But as far as, like, for the space and realizing that, okay, there are big crowds of people. There constantly have people, like, staff members trying to clear halls or walkway spaces because there are these big crowds of people that aren't really getting their chance to play so much, because some of those games are long games. Like if you wanted to play League and there was no space to sit down, you might as well just go away. Like, League a game could take anywhere from roughly 15 to 45 minutes. Would you really want to stand and wait behind a person to play one game of League? And no. I mean, for a League player, do you really only want to play one game of League?
No.
It doesn't happen. It just does not happen.
And they were crowded. Yeah.
And that's what I found problematic about that, because they had that, and they had it in the middle of the floor. So it's like, while you didn't have to worry about the crowd because people already knew, he's playing League of Legends, let me just take my ass somewhere else. It was like, okay, this is... There are a lot of setups here, and nobody's really going to get to play besides the people who have sat down and will probably be playing all day, because nobody's going to watch them to try to get them to get up.
In my opinion, League, Smash Bros, and I want to say the new Blaze Blue that came out ran that game room, because those were the things that were being played the most.
Yeah.
And it's like... And I understand exactly what you're saying, because it's like, as far as with Smash Bros, when it comes down to Smash Bros, it's like, yeah, I just want to get a quick match in. But what kind of makes it hard to get a quick match in with Smash is 2 things. One, you have to bring your own controller for some of them. And it's like, one, sometimes you don't want to be going around the whole con with your damn GameCube controller.
Mm-hmm.
Two, the other problem is Smash matches tend to go on for a while. Even if it's supposed to be the last two pass them up, they still keep going. So it's like at a point you have to make a decision. Yo, do I bogart my way into taking this spot, or do I just come back later?
True.
And that's literally what I went through up until Saturday night.
But see, here's also the thing. No offense to anybody in the community at all, but a lot of the people who go to these cons are more timid people. How do you bogart someone off of a system if you don't have that personality? Of course you have that personality because you're like, hey man, you've been here for this long and you can, and they'll get up and they'll understand, but not everybody does that, Yes. So it's not like I'm saying, oh, it needs to be like a regulation where these people, that's not what I mean. It's just, for certain things, this is like, it's almost too much work to try to play for the minuscule amount of time that you'll end up playing when it's that many people and not enough setups for these popular games. Now, here's where I was getting to, and this was the big problem that I had with the game room this year. This is like the overall, what the hell were they thinking moment for me. Holding every tournament on Saturday. Who the hell thought that was a good idea? The most crowded day at the con. You do hold tournaments, but you don't have a separate room for tournaments. Mm-hmm. You're using the setups that you have on the floor because, well, whatever. You just use those. And I can understand using it, but, for instance, I came in fairly early for me and a friend to actually play Smash Bros. We never got a chance to play. Simply because every time we came back to that game room from like 12 all the way to like 6, all of every last setup in there was being used for the tournament, even if people were not sitting there. And it's like, I understand, it's a lot of players, you got to get them going, but it's like, if you got players going and they're going for a tournament, you better be using all of those setups. It wasn't a moment where every setup was used. It was like 2 setups are being used, but it's like 12 setups here. But all of these need to be tied up because a tournament's going on. It's like, okay, so you have these ones in the main aisle here, and then you have these 2 or 3 over here. Why not leave those 2 or 3 for the casual players or for the players who aren't in the tournament to play?
Or they could just do the tournament at Kobo.
That would actually work out. They've done that before. And that actually, in my opinion, was one of the best options they ever had. But, once again, the tournaments just don't seem to be what they used to be. The Youmacon Battle Opera just isn't as great as it used to be. And I feel sad about that. Because I remember the one year that I went and that they had it at Kobo. That tournament was amazing. I was actually interested in every game that was played. And this is shocking because I was actually sitting there completely interested in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. And I hate that game. Personal opinion, but I just, whatever. It's not really, we're just not going to get into that. But, that's my thing. Nothing made me want to stay in there to watch the tournament. I didn't know what was going on because there was so much chaos with them kicking people off of stations and moving chairs from other stations to make sure people could sit down to watch these games. It was just like, why not just close the whole damn room off at that point?
And I'm
like,
sad.
Like, for instance, remember when we were at Colossal Con, and they had that moment where they were like, okay, we want to make sure these tournaments are out. The game room will be closed from this hour to this hour. That let people know, well, might as well not go in there.
Exactly.
And it's like, if you keep kind of trying to come back because you want to play these games, and you don't know exactly how the scheduling or how they're going to kick people off the systems are until they just decide to do it at that point, so they just hold off everything, you don't know what to do. So you just go and you do other things, which is fine because it's a con. There should be plenty for you to do. Yeah, but if you have your mindset on playing a game, and you have the expectation of that is gone, it just kind of sucks.
Because you end up doing basically what you just said. You end up doing what I did. When I found out that the tournaments was all on Saturday, I completely avoided the game room. Because it was like, I didn't think it was going to be as chaotic as you just explained it.
Oh, it was pretty chaotic, bro.
But I knew that if I would have went in there, I would have been irritated.
Oh yeah, the irritation was definitely real. So that was like one of the highest points of irritation that I had with this con this year. I could go on about how the book was a little confusing the way they set it up, but it's always confusing. But you kind of figure it out. Other things, I mean, yeah, there was pretty good panels going on. I think I probably only went to 2, and those weren't really the main ones I wanted to go to. I just, happened to make it to 2. But that was something that I felt could have been a little bit better. Is I know you can find the panels that you want to go to in the book. Mm-hmm. But some of the panels that I saw, I'm like, oh man, this could be broadcast a little bit better, because I think if more people were aware of it, that actually go to it.
And
unfortunately,
they used to do something like that.
Yeah.
Like they used to, when they had the panels on each floor, they had a board that told you what was on that floor.
Yep.
And it told you the room number.
Yeah, I remember.
They got rid of that. They made that obsolete. Like, I'm just, why? Why would you do that? It's like, I understand you have the book, but if you're a foreigner, and you don't understand where to go, you don't understand the Renaissance building at all.
Oh yeah, and there was a lot of those.
You don't know where to go. You're sitting here running around in circles, then you miss out on things that you wanted to see, and now you're upset about that, and you just end up doing something completely different, and you end up partying
or defaulting to the game room that you can't play anything
because you can't go to a panel that you want to go to because you're freaking lost, because nobody decided to put up any type of directional know-how on where you needed to go.
I know we're talking about a lot of the main panel stuff, but I'm gonna segue a little bit. It's still a part of the con, but you'll know where I'm getting at as I start this one off. The idea of staying at a con. Youmacon is probably one of the worst places when it comes to staying at the local hotel for a con. The Marriott is a piece of shit. I'm sorry. There's no better way to put it. They are legit the most crooked hotel as far as being respectful of the con-goers who are spending their money.
Because I'm sure they're tired of us. Like, I feel like that they feel like our money isn't worth it. So now they're trying to find ways not to deal with us. Right.
So it's like every year that I've gone, the Marriott finds another way to basically slap the con-goers in the face. This year, they made sure to downgrade every room that was for a lot of the con-goers, like a lot of the double rooms, to single rooms. Change the bed just so the bed is a little bit bigger. And then still charge you as if you had 2 beds and everything in the room. Basically charge you as if you had the room that you wanted, but basically gave you a room under the type of room that you wanted. And I'm like, well, why not just charge them for that room type if that's the case? That would have required them to actually charge you less money. So they basically did that. And if you basically had a problem with it, they're like, well, we already have, X amount of your money. So you could just say you don't want it and we can cancel it right now. You're still going to be out of money and you won't have a place to stay. So what do you want to do? It's like, is that really how you treat your clients, your customers, whatever you want to call it? I call them clients, but it's like your con clients. Yeah. How do you treat them like that? So what I'm hoping is that the con does something where people can enter and leave the building after 12, because at 12 the doors lock. Enter and leave the building after 12 with some sort of badge assistance.
It's always been like that. The door is always locked, but you have to go in through the back.
But think about this. If you were a foreign person and you had no idea, you would be outside panicking. But
at the same time, I doubt I'm rooming at the Marriott next year for Yomo.
Yeah, but see, why?
I mean, exactly what you just said.
Exactly. That's my point. So the only reason to actually room there is because you won't have to deal with the lockout. You won't have to. All of it's there. You're there. You don't have to worry about going anywhere else. But, the Marriott makes sure that they treat you as much like shit as possible while you're there. There's no actual no, there's bad representation of the company, terrible customer service, and I don't think they care. So a lot of people, actually, I hope a lot of people who hear this takes this into consideration. Just don't room there. It's plenty of other hotels in the area, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of people who will still room there. Just go to their room. Like, seriously, just go to their room. You don't need a badge per se or a card to actually get to the guest room floors. Come on, let's be real about that. You really don't need it. It's convenient, but you don't need it. So long as you have a friend in that room or you follow a friend up, they don't check to make sure that you have a hotel badge. They just make sure. Actually, they didn't even check to see if you had a con badge at that point.
For what, the elevators?
Yeah.
No, they didn't. I mean,
which was weird for this year. But
they didn't. I don't want to say they didn't before, but it wasn't really the badges they were looking for. It was the ID cards they wanted to make sure you had. Yeah,
but they don't even really do that anymore.
Because it was either like you use an ID card or you take the stairs.
which sucks because it's like.
But
what if
I
you
give
are
them this at night? Like the later it is, the less likely you need an ID card.
Yeah, because I mean,
it's like for whatever reason they kind of turn it off.
Yeah,
so it's like you don't have to worry about it. But it's like still during the day,
too many people, too much work.
Yeah.
So but that's not my point. I'm just saying you don't need a badge if you want to visit somebody inside of the Marriott. And for the people who buy the big rooms for the parties, that's great. So long as you don't get shut down, which we actually had a friend who had a party like that. Probably invited a little bit too many people, but party got shut down. It's like it happens. You know what happens. It's going to happen to a lot of people. But the point is, like, unless you're doing something like that, honestly, I see no reason for you to really, like, try to push for a room at the Marriott when there's other smaller hotels that'll actually treat you better for a lot.
I think, like, across the street, man, they gave you complimentary breakfast.
Yeah.
I'm like, Marriott doesn't give me
They don't give you anything.
They don't give me nothing.
They don't even give you clean sheets.
They don't give you clean sheets, but we're not going.
Oh, we can go into that.
No, we're not going into that.
Okay, fine. We'll keep closer to the actual topic of the con instead of talking about how shitty.
We basically
Marriott
just
is.
ragged on Yoma a little bit in the Marriott, but let's talk about what we actually really liked about Youmacon. Because I actually did like the con this year.
Okay, a lot of people did.
Versus last year, versus the last 2 years, I've actually liked the con this year.
I don't really have an opinion of last year. My opinion is actually biased. But the year before that, I wasn't impressed for, just reasons. This year, I will say I actually enjoyed the con itself. Had a lot of fun. I did a bit, and the walking around wasn't bad.
No.
Like, a lot of the times, the walking around is terrible. But the one thing that I did say was a little weird, especially since I cosplayed a character that actually wears a leather jacket. The heat here, man. This Michigan weather is just...
Yeah, usually the con falls on colder days.
Oh, it usually falls on frigid days. So I was expecting, and then I get there, and I'm over here hot. I'm like, I'm starting to sweat. This is not the day to be walking outside or indoors for that matter. So that was...
Cosplay life, bro.
Yeah, and see, now I realize that, like, if I wanted to continue to cosplay, just make sure I have a cosplay like that. And then something... Oh, by the way, if I didn't already mention it, I cosplayed as Red Hood from the Batman series. But make sure you have another cosplay that's probably less hot to wear. Because it'll help you out. Because, yeah, you go out and you're like, oh, man, it's too hot. You switch to the other one and just switch it up, I'd say that's probably a good idea. I wish I had that option, but I didn't. So after a point, I legit just went ahead and took off my cosplay and wore normal clothes, just because it was too hot for me to deal with the weather at that point. But I absolutely enjoyed the time that I had cosplaying. I got my picture taken, so I feel like I did a successful job of my cosplay. So yeah, that was definitely a good experience. So if you actually never cosplayed, and from somebody who honestly thought, yeah, I'm never going to do that. Not really my thing. I'll enjoy watching others, but I didn't really want to do it myself. I'll say give it a shot. You know, there's a lot of simple ones you can do,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of more complicated ones you could do.
But it really depends on how authentic you want to be.
Yeah, and see, once again, a lot of the stuff you can buy, and you'll get as authentic as you can with that stuff, albeit a little bit expensive, but it's a little less work on you when you think about it. But you can also be the very creative type and try to create it yourself. Think outside the box when you do it. It's not that hard. And I really, really stress that people actually try it out at least once. It's not that bad. You dress up for Halloween. It's not really much different. You know? You can't be like, oh man, what if somebody sees me? It's like, the dude next to you is probably more embarrassing than you. It's not that big of a deal. There will always be someone more embarrassing than you. So, never think, oh man, I could embarrass myself. Because you probably won't meet these people again in your life. Unless you go back to the con, which, you know, they're probably going to be embarrassing themselves too, as far as quote-unquote embarrassment goes.
The dealer's room.
The dealer's room. It was about the same as it always is. And that's not a bad thing. It's just nothing in the dealer's room made me really, really wanna buy anything. Except for one particular thing, but that wasn't because it was like the dealer's room. It was because, hey, I just really want to buy this thing. Which we'll actually get into that probably on our next podcast. We'll go into it a little bit more in depth. But yeah.
As far as the dealer's room with me, I say just as about as the same as last year. There were a lot of things there, but I felt like a lot of places were kind of lazy. And the reason I say that is because let's for example, the weapon shops.
Okay.
I felt like compared to last year, when I walked in there and I found my steampunk master sword, I was like, yo, this is dope. I gotta have it. This year, I didn't really know. There was nothing. Nothing called to me.
Well, see, that depends on what you're into.
I know that depends on what I'm into, but it just seemed like all around.
Okay.
It just felt like all around. It's like I felt like a lot of people were like, I kind of wanted to see other stuff, but I'll settle for buying this because I still like this. You know, and that's how I kind of felt some of the weapon stations were. As far as creativity, like I give a lot of places like an A because they brought a lot of different things that I didn't really expect to see. Like they had one booth where they had Sunday like figurines. So like for example, they had like a Vegeta Sunday. So it was like a glass with like looked like a sundae inside, and then it was like Vegeta, and you had like cream on him in certain places, and it was actually pretty dope, like whipped cream. It was pretty dope.
The way you explained that sounds a lot dirtier than it should have.
But it was sweet. It was a concept I didn't think I would see.
No.
And that was straight. The Yoma line was actually not that bad. Well, as far as it wasn't that slow.
Before we even go there, I gotta go ahead and give my opinion on that dealer's room. Because like I said, there wasn't much that I was like, oh man, you know, I absolutely have to have this. But at the same time, there was. The main reason why I didn't buy more is because I was already thinking about, like, my actual money and things that I probably have to take care of, like, right after the con. So it wasn't really a, oh, man, I don't want to buy anything. It was more so like a, oh, man, I actually have to think about this. So at that point, out of any con, this is probably, like, the first time where I've actually had, like, 4 or 5 business cards for businesses for things that I actually want to buy later.
That Play Arts station.
Yeah.
That Gladio, I wanted so bad.
I didn't go to that one. I know exactly which one you went to, and I didn't go to it. And I'm kind of glad I didn't go to it because, see, I feel like a very, very bad decision would have been made if I would have.
There were no deals there, though.
Oh, no?
Like, no, there were no deals. Yuffie. Remember when we copped Yuffie for like $80?
Yeah.
She had to be like $100.
Oh wow.
Maybe like $120.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Gladio.
That's uppriced.
Ignis from Final Fantasy 15, they were like 150.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Of course, you were paying 150 for Cloud. Of course, you was paying 150 for Tifa. So anything as far as that, like it was pretty much like normal pricing.
Okay.
You know,
that
some of them you probably could get at a better price on Amazon.
Oh, I absolutely always check because it's like, if I look and I'm like, okay, this is the same price or this is actually higher, and I'm looking at it and I really want it, I'll just buy it on Amazon right then and there. I don't have to have it in my hand at that point.
Yeah.
But if I already know I'm willing to spend this money on this because I really want it, I might as well spend it cheaper.
But they tried something different.
Well, what?
With the grab bags.
Oh, I didn't look at that.
Yeah, they had grab bags at different stations.
So no, I know they have grab bags.
They had the one at the Play Arts, and it was like grab bag for like $20.
Okay.
And it was like, it had like miscellaneous stuff inside of it. You probably got a figure, but I don't know what it would be because couldn't see what was in it. But I thought that was cool for people who still needed to get something and they wanted something from that stand.
Yeah.
That was a nice option that was given to us.
Yeah, I don't gamble on stuff like that. I mean, I understand the concept, but the only way I would get a grab bag if I was getting it for someone else that I didn't know what to get them. I was like, hey, it's probably something in this bag you want. But for me, nope. I know what I want. I'm going to take what I want. If I have it, it's going to happen. Other things that I found very, very interesting there. Funko Pops.
Funko Pops were real.
I would have went broke if I'll put it this way. If I didn't put the money that I put into my cosplay out, about all of that money would have been spent on Funko Pops that day. There were way too many that I've never seen and way too many that I really, really wanted, and I was freaking out. Like, my friend literally had to drag me away from that station.
Yeah, because I think like the second or third season of Funko Pops, the series, you know, I think they started flowing out, so that was like the perfect time.
Oh yeah,
to have your Funko Pops out.
So many, and it's like, of course, you know, like with me, I try to get them offline, and I also try to go to stores anytime I get, because I notice that some stores have exclusive ones to their store. Like I just recently copped the that one Venom and Taskmaster one that you could only get at what was it, Walgreens? I think it was Walgreens. Walgreens. And I was like, well, I'm glad I walked in here and looked. So, you know, it's ones that you get like that I really, really look for, of, you know, characters I really, really like. But they did have quite a few that I'm like, oh man, I could probably get this somewhere else, but they weren't overpriced. So I was actually happy about it. Like, a lot of them were like just like $8, $10, and I was like, that works for me.
What a Funko Pop should be.
Yeah. So, you know, but they didn't have any ones that would have instantly made me just completely say, screw this, I'm gonna buy this. Because, you know, if I would have found the Bruce Lee from Enter the Dragon, it was gonna happen. If I would have found a reasonably priced Dr. Doom, it was going to happen. No matter what, I was gonna get those. I would have made the bad decision.
I would have made the bad decision.
Yeah, I would have, and I don't feel bad about saying that. I'm just letting you know. Those are things that I would have gotten, but those weren't there, so I was actually okay. But they had a lot more that I'd never seen that I really wanted.
I could see it now. So, like your eyes freaking see the Bruce Lee Funko Pop, and then it just hits the JoJo to be continued.
You're right. It would have just been that Oz lock moment, and I would have bought it, and then I would have been looking at everybody like, why would you let me buy this? Like I was gonna let them stop me. But yeah. So for the dealer's room, to me, it wasn't that bad. I saw a lot of cool stuff. I saw like actual posters that were made on like metal sheets, and I was like, that's freaking amazing. Like I don't think I've ever seen that before. So I made sure to get a card.
I didn't catch that.
I'll actually show you the card later. It may be somewhere over in this area, but yeah, I'll show you the card later. But yeah, you were going off of the dealers to the con line, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, the line to actually get your badge was a little bit easier this year. I don't know why it was easier.
I don't either.
But maybe it's because of when we went and it just didn't seem so bad. because remember we went early, and most people end up going early, and that's how they get caught in the biggest part of the line.
Because it's the waiting.
Yeah. But we went early, so we were there early, so it only took us like 30 minutes to get to the front from not being pre-reg.
Yeah.
And then you went later in the day when most of those people were already out of the way.
And still took like 15 minutes.
And it took like, see? So a lot of people, you know, to me, I'm like, just find other stuff to do during that time. Yeah, if you found something else to do, you should be okay until later in the day. Would you get up
early and wait in line again?
Would I get up early and wait in line again? No, I would just fucking pre-reg. Call it a day.
Or that.
The only reason why I usually don't pre-reg is because I don't know when pre-reg opens and I forget. And then by the time I'm like, oh yeah, let me go pre-reg, it's like, oh, pre-reg closed like one day ago. And I'm like, here we go. Every year. So, well, not every year. Most years. Because I pre-reg last year. Did I pre-reg last year?
You pre-reg last year.
I didn't pre-reg last year. My nephew pre-reg for me. And I paid him for it. So, yeah. And I pre-reg, the year before that I did. So, line wasn't that bad. Well, for that. The elevator line? Absolutely not. I don't know how many times I got stuck.
That was only really that bad because of the escalator.
Well, yeah. But here's another problem. The rave line. What the fuck? Like, I understand that they were so worried about people sneaking drugs into the rave. Like, people wouldn't take drugs outside the rave and come in there. Like, do you not understand what pre-gaming is? You know, like, that's the part that made me laugh the most. But it's like, you weren't taking people's shoes off. You know. So what was the point of that? Because I knew a couple people who snuck things in from their shoes. You know. Why not?
I suppose. I'm not bragging, but I know people. So I was what line? I just went to the front of the line.
Oh yeah, I mean, so, look. If you got your connections, that's fine. But if you're in that line, it's like
that line isn't that different to me. And this is why I say that. The only thing I would say it was kind of different because by the time I did go down there, I did not expect it to be a long line. That's why you wait like an hour or so. So you don't deal with the line.
But see, the line was still there. And I did the exact same thing. There. I was like, well, I'm not about to stand in that line. I know it's going to be a line, and then it's going to be there for about an hour. So, hey, when that that line is about to go, you get your drinks in your system, you pregame it up, and then you're ready to go down. You're ready to, dance like you're crazy to music that is almost never on beat, and you just have fun. Makes sense. The
music ain't on beat.
Okay, some of it.
That's biased on your side.
A little biased. Some of the look.
Because I can shuffle all day.
You shuffle just to shuffle. But anyway, some of the music is on beat. Some of it is just like, okay, why did the music? Personal taste of music, and it's not that I hate that music. It's just. Sometimes, when you feel like you're in the groove, and then it's like, okay, here's the drop, and the drop doesn't happen, and then like the drop happens a half of a minute later, and it's like, okay, that was a silly drop.
The line, I wasn't really surprised about.
Okay.
I was, like I said, I was only surprised that by the time I did go, there was still a line. But I understand why there was still a line. The only reason that line was still long is because they were checking people. If they weren't checking people, it would have just filed in.
I agree.
It was just meh. I was just like, whatever. It's a line. Even if I didn't have my connects, I probably would not have really had cared that much to stand in that line, or I would have just came back. Either or.
Yeah.
Saturday rave was actually pretty dope. I liked it. I had a good time in there while I was in there. Friday's rave, I was actually very shocked because it ended at 2. I do not remember it ever ending at 2 like that, especially with as many people that was still in there. I really expected it to go until 4. It wasn't as good as Saturday.
Yeah.
But like I said, the amount of people that were in there enjoying themselves, I expected it to last longer. I was shocked that it ended at 2. I was so shocked that it ended at 2. I was just sitting there like, so what now?
I was more shocked for Friday that they actually had I guess it didn't matter because there wasn't that many people there, but half of the room still had seating in there, not like the normal around the side seating, no, like rows of seats, like it was a show going on there. And I'm like, that's not normal, that's different. It's like they didn't break the room down completely.
Well, they did that last year.
Did they?
Yep, they did that last year.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
They had the chairs set up exactly the same for people who wanted to sit.
Yeah, no, but they had it around the back of the walls. Those were set up in like sections, like it was like they pushed them out of the way. No. They moved them, like the area where most people stand
against the wall.
No, like when they walk into the hall.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like that area where people are standing that aren't in the middle where the dance floor is.
Yeah.
That was filled out with chairs, and I thought that was weird.
Yeah, it was like that last year.
Oh well, yeah. Okay. Like I said, I didn't go to last year's like that, so. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that line could have been not happening, but like you said, it wasn't as bad. I don't know what else. I don't think there should have been a line that long, especially for what they were checking for. They tried to make it a little easier by like splitting it, like where the males are on one side and the women are on the other side.
Well, they did that for a specific.
I know why they did it, and it makes sense why they did it, but I don't know. It's a little. I don't know. They could have told you there was going to be a split much earlier instead of having you wait in line with the people, and then because at that point, the ratio of men to women was staggering. If you noticed,
yeah,
and it's like, oh man,
it's like you knew your chances before you went in there.
I mean, hey, I guess for some, maybe your chances are really, really good. But, it was like, well, there's only so many men and women going here. You could see it. It was obvious. Like I said, you don't care about that type of thing. That's fine. There's no problem with that. But yeah, it made it more obvious to me about the raves.
As far so going back, as far as how I felt about the con, I enjoyed myself a lot. I actually enjoyed this con way better than my last two. I had a good time. I tried different things. I don't regret going. I don't feel like I could have just came on one day. I'm glad I stayed the whole time. Kudos to the people who actually put their life into their cosplays. There were so many, and I'm so upset I really didn't get to take as many pictures as I wanted to. You guys rocked. Great job. I hope to see you guys at either a different con or next year at the same one. But yeah.
And I'll say too, this one was much better than the last two I've gone to. 100%. The only major issue that I had with this one, this was just a staggering issue for me, was the game room. Because you know me, I'm a fighting game player overall. I wanted to go ahead and throw down in some Street Fighter V,
which they only had on one system.
They had one
TV,
system, and then they had the 2 arcade cabinets. So it was like,
oh, where was that at? I didn't even
all the
see
way
that.
in the front where the tournament players were sitting. And I don't mind playing tournament. I've done this multiple times. So it was
over there where the Gundam, what's the name?
Yeah, it was in that particular area, and it was hidden.
Yeah,
and it's the only reason why I was able to tell is because I know with a lot of the people who are in the fighting game community for Michigan, I know some of them. So it's I seen them there, and I'm they probably know where it is. And of course, once I approach, I'm oh, it is right here. But the line I'm looking at, it's okay, do I really want to stand in this line to play? I thought about it. I will tell you, I thought about it, but I didn't. Overall, I just it's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to join the tournament because I knew I had other things that I really, really wanted to do on Saturday. I didn't really want to be stuck in there all Saturday.
Yeah.
But overall, I enjoyed it. For the con's sake, I completely enjoyed it. Cosplayed, did something new. More than likely going to do it again. And, I hope next year they just change a couple things. Once again, I actually hope that the Marriott is either not your first choice anymore, or they actually get some new management to deal with this better. because people in the food court deal with it just fine now. I remember there used to be issues with people from the food court, and now they cosplay it themselves. They actually get into it. They understand that there will be some rude people there, but that's just with life. You know that's going to happen. They handle it well. They get you your food as quick as possible. They're good with it, and I appreciate those people who actually work during those hours because they keep us fed, they keep us alive, they keep us able to stay. Marriott, out of the window. No. Good one. I'm just saying. No, absolutely.
Bag of baby dicks.
So, got anything else about?
Yeah. Yes, I do. To the people that are listening right now, let me tell you how petty this motherfucker Crash is. So we're gonna talk about what I'm about to say on another podcast, but I just want y'all to understand this man ain't shit.
Oh man,
he won't ever be shit.
Oh,
if he has kids, they ain't gonna be shit either.
Oh man,
this man knows how I feel about Persona 5.
I do.
And he knows that I've been geeking out about it since I knew it was going to be... Since I knew it was going to come out next
year.
February.
Oh, man, that wait.
Valentine's Day.
Man.
I've been watching some broadcasts. I'm really stoked about the game.
Watching 90% of the game.
I know so much about it. And when I found out that it was in the dealer's room for $89.99 plus tax, this man decides to go and cop himself a copy for himself, knowing damn well he is not either going to finish it,
of course not,
or really play it like that. But he got it just to spite me.
So, I want to stop you right there, Yume. I bought it so that when you decide you really want to have these conversations about Persona 5, a game that we could have just waited to have these conversations in February, which we will still have these conversations because that's when the actual localized version of the game will come out. I bought it just so I can understand firsthand all of this.
He bought it to make me cry.
What?
He bought it
what?
to make me cry.
Oh, trust me.
You ever seen a grown man cry?
If I wanted to make you cry, I'd just break the disc.
This man made me cry.
I did.
This man made a full-grown man cry.
I don't understand.
Do you hear it in my voice?
I don't hear it. I think you just blowing smoke right now.
I ain't blowing no smoke. I'm actually hurt.
You're not hurt.
That you bought that copy of P5.
You're not hurt.
And then posted it on Facebook.
It was the only thing I bought. I always post my hauls. The only thing I got. Don't give me that look. Don't you lean back and give me that look. You kept saying things about the game, and I don't know. I guess I just got super curious, and I just wanted to buy it. And now I will.
Super petty.
No,
that's what he meant to say.
What would you have to do?
And say super petty.
What would I have to do? Or better, how do I put this? Why would I decide to be that petty? You would have had to do something really petty with that game or about that game to make me ever want to do that. So what in your mind did you do to make me want to be that petty? Because I don't know what you're talking about. I'm legit just trying to understand where you're coming from with these accusations. Because, I mean, I'm just saying, I just want to test the game out. I would love to give some pre-ideas to, the people listening to this podcast. I'd love to actually, I don't know if that's a good or bad idea right now. I actually figured that out. I'd love to stream a little bit of the game. Nothing too, too telling about the game. Because I wouldn't want to ruin the game for people. Because I know there are some people who would love to ruin the game for other people, and I wouldn't want to do that. That's not my thing. I just like to actually give you an option of seeing specific things about it. So I would just, kind of get you an idea how the mechanics work, how certain things work. That way you actually got an idea about the game. I wouldn't, tell you about anything specific like boss battles or anything like that. That would be telling. Or secret characters. That would be really, really bad. Don't you agree, Yume?
Finessing at its finest.
I don't understand what that means. I don't. Why are you laughing at me? I'm serious. I really, really want to make sure that if our podcasters want to see this game, they could see it in a spoiler-free environment. And I legit sat there and spent $100 of my own money to make sure that this happened. I don't know. Maybe I just actually enjoy the people listening to this podcast. I mean, I'm genuine about that. I really want to make sure that they have a good experience. Not a secondhand experience of just knowing stuff before the game comes out. I just want them to know. I think it's a good idea. But yeah, I mean, once I actually get a chance to play it, that'll probably be an ongoing topic we'll have. We'll probably go into it a little bit, and then I'll play it, and then I'll actually give more of an opinion the next time around. But yeah, it was definitely a good buy. Aesthetically pleasing looking as far as the case and the disc. I'm absolutely in love with the way that disc looks. That disc looks awesome, by the way.
I agree.
I can't wait to see what they do for the localized version, but I have a feeling I'm not going to be as happy with it.
I've seen it already.
Oh, does it look the same?
No.
Oh. Well, So yeah, there's that.
It looks good. It's just
okay.
They did something different. It's actually, you know what? I'm sorry. The case, like the standard case, looks the same. It's the steel book that looks different.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And you got
the steel book looks different from their steel book.
Okay.
The Japanese steel book.
Okay. Well, you got anything else to add?
As far as how petty you are, no, I'm pretty much good. I'm all right. We
were talking about Yoma. Where did this come from? Like this wave of bad energy.
My aura is on 10 right now.
I don't understand why. This was for the podcast listeners and for the con.
For the con. Conland.
So, once again, this is SP Crash. I'm actually signing off this time because, Yume is probably sitting here a little bit upset. I don't know if he's actually going to sign off. We'll give him a moment to see what he says. I bet it's going to be about me for some odd reason.
No, this is Yume Sora actually signing off also. We'll get into it another time about how Crash is so petty.
Oh, see?
And
there it is.
The petty wars that we have here. But, yeah, I'm going to let it go on that.
Bang, bang.
Bang!
Just all over the place. Tune in next time, guys.